everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate View. We are so happy to be back. I am Miki, joined with my co-hosts Kim and Lorraine. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. I mean, it does feel good to be back.
Yes. Took a little break, but it was a good break. It was a positive, productive break.
Yes.
I think I think I'm going to throw it over to Kim because she really did most of the positivity and the productiveness over this break that we've had. But I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what you've been doing the past like week and a half or so.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to share. I actually took some time off to attend a training session on NLP, and it was definitely an eye-opening experience, a life-changing experience, and I think everybody should be able to experience that. And I would love to talk to anybody who wants to talk about it. But yes, that's what I've been doing for the past, I want to say 7 to 8 days.
It's intense, huh?
Yes, it was very intense and very well worth it.
And I think we're going to kind of elaborate
a
little bit more on that, like on a future episode, right? Like when we talk, because I think one of our ideas is to talk about why it's so important to continuously keep learning and continuously network and just be in different spaces and expand your skill set. So really excited to hear everything that you learned.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we have a special subject today, special topic, which is actually hot in our real estate space right now. We are talking about Zillow, everyone. So if you didn't know what happened to Zillow, you're in for a treat.
Or if you don't know, now you're gonna know.
Now you're gonna know. Yes.
So I think, maybe just to preface, I would feel most people know who Zillow is, but I guess maybe for those folks who might not know who Zillow is. So Zillow, at least previously, prior to maybe about, I don't know, when did they make this move? Like 5-6 months ago, roughly, when they decided to kind of transition their business. But initially, Zillow was a platform that most homeowners or potential homeowners and even investors would go to either look for properties that are on sale, so basically like a public search of what properties are available, or to also get valuations or an idea of how much your property was worth. And then recently, I want to say it was like 5-6 months ago. Maybe it was a bit longer.
Maybe a bit more.
They decided, to transition into now buying properties and then selling them themselves instead of being the middle person between the homeowner and the seller. So now they've we'll I guess get into it in terms of what has happened since that decision.
And when you think, as you're saying, Lorraine, when you think about Zillow, they were really the middle person, right? They were pulling data from the MLS. So it's not as if they were going themselves getting that data. They were really getting it from MLS and then putting it out there in the web space as a platform that was super friendly to use so that you can research on properties. You can do your own research, kind of. I guess similarly to like Redfin or like Realtor.com, all of the other platforms. But then Zillow took it a step further.
Right. They took it a step further, thinking that I guess they wanted to get into the house flipping game.
They thought we had too much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being a real estate investor, you don't just decide overnight that, let me go start flipping houses. It's something where there's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of education, because if you want to do it the right way and make it a profitable business, it's not something that you just decide overnight, I'm just going to go do this. So in essence, there are multiple iBuying companies. I remember when we had our first episode, we had Liz and Marie on, and they were, Marie was chatting about, the iBuyers in the Phoenix market. And I told her, I said, I didn't see any of that going on in the Chicago market. And the iBuyers, they picked different markets to go to. Like they were very prominent in Phoenix, They were very prominent, like in Atlanta and some parts of North Carolina, and I want to say San Francisco, some parts of California, and Texas, and I think Dallas, Texas. So yeah, so they were really out there. They were down there buying up a lot of stuff, and it kind of poked holes now in their whole system, as far as when you speak to a seller and everybody's like, oh well, Zillow says my house is worth this. Zillow says my house is worth that. It's like, is it really? Now that everything has kind of like fallen apart.
So everyone, if you didn't know it, so Zillow it was a flop. Like their flipping business did not work out
So
at all.
Flip or flop? Yeah.
Yes, they really did the flop side. So can we dig a little bit? So what happened exactly to them? What went wrong with their strategy?
So I think
you kind of. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, Kim. Go ahead.
Well, I think with the strategy that they were using AI, which is what artificial and is it art intelligence?
Yes.
I'm not really sure what the AI stands for, but something along those lines. But yeah, so they were using a computer to give them the information in order to buy. And in essence, what they were doing, they were buying the properties high and in hopes to be able to sell them higher. When most investors, all investors know, you buy low and sell high as opposed to buy high and sell high. So I'm not really sure how they thought that strategy was going to play out, but obviously it didn't work out.
I'm sitting here wondering, like, as you're explaining that, if they were, because I mean, most of us know, at least investors, or if you're paying attention to the market, that most areas of the country are in a seller's market. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, if they were trying to kind of take advantage of that, thinking like, oh, okay, if we buy a bulk of the properties, let's say wholesale, and then sell them at the higher price point, we can kind of secure more of those spreads instead of it being spread out amongst, the investors and the private money lenders and whoever else was in the market. I'm wondering if that was their thought. But to your point, they didn't do the correct due diligence. They were using their own flawed algorithms, if you will, to make these predictions about what the values of the properties were worth, when in reality, that's not really how most property evaluations go.
Yes. And, each market is so different. And so whatever your algorithm is, like specifically like us in Baltimore, when it's a block by block, it takes you, like, you have to have the knowledge, the specific knowledge of your market to actually price right the house. Because just a couple of street down there, it won't be the same ARV, the after repair value, than where you are. So the knowledge of the market, the specific knowledge of your market where you're standing, it's actually what drives the price of the house. So whether it's like a seller, national market is saying this, or even your state is this, or that city is doing so well, you have to know that neighborhood. And so I think that they did lack into that.
Yeah, I mean, everything ultimately in real estate is like on a local level. And like you said, things are street by street, block by block. Because even when, like, let's say, I do business in Tennessee as well. And, there are some places in Tennessee that the value is a little bit higher. But across the street, like literally, you park your car across the street, the prices are a little bit lower. So, I don't know that a computer can give you that type of information. Clearly it can't. But yeah, it definitely is on a local level. And you need someone local in order to be able to give you that type of information, so you know that you're making the right choice when purchasing.
Yeah. And I think that was part of the reason why I was so surprised when I first heard about Zillow kind of getting into the home buying business, because it's just like, you knew that there wasn't really much of a human component behind what they were doing. It was a lot of technology. And granted, since we've been in the pandemic, we have been leveraging technology to a higher degree, for most things. So I understand why they thought it might work, but I think it was just a very rushed operation to try to take advantage of what was going on in the market, and it ended up backfiring.
Oh, yes. Like I remember when it started, my brother-in-law in Canada. So Garrett, if you're listening, it's you. And so he called me to tell me, he's like, hey, did you know Zillow is getting into your game? And it was such a big news, right? Like it was all over the news, and he was this major competitor coming into it, and that was going to wipe us all out. Because, of course, we knew they had like, their billions of funds, and like they had everything. Their machine was working well. So we expected them to kind of run the game. And I don't know if you've been into houses that were already flipped and on the market by Zillow. I did not see any of those houses.
No, I haven't seen any of those, but I do know that for the iBuyers, they are paying a lot for houses. I've spoken to a couple of people who have done flips and sold them to iBuyers, and they are buying them. They're buying them at a really high price.
Wow.
Yeah. So what that essentially does is it prices, people who are real homeowners, home buyers, I should say, who want to get into the housing market to buy their first home or even trade up to a bigger home. It kind of prices them out, because now they're stuck in this bidding war, essentially.
Wow.
Because Zillow was overpaying for the houses, so it kind of price people out.
So the price has been like artificially inflated.
Yes.
On top of being a seller's market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
but yeah.
You can go ahead, Lorraine.
No, I was just going to say, and you know how that can also trickle down to what happens down the line. So you have these artificially inflated prices. Let's just say the home buyer's like, listen, I've been looking at 10, 15 houses. I am not losing this house. So then they go in and then they pay over asking for whatever the seller is asking for. Yes, and then you're locking in, because right now I don't know exactly what the interest rates are. I want to say maybe they're like, I don't know, 3-4% probably, depending on everybody's particular credit situation. So what I feel like this is creating, you're overpaying for properties, you're locking in a low interest rate, so you're not going to be able to refinance these properties down the line in order to be able to save money, or at least recoup some of the investment that you made because you overpaid initially for the property. And so this is creating, in my opinion, just a myriad of problems that we're going to see moving forward. Because as people are overpaying for properties, although they're at a low interest rate, once they're unable to make these payments, or even further, if the values of the property don't match up with what's owed on the property, then we're going to see an influx of like short sales and all of these other things that come onto the market. So
they're going to be upside down. Yeah.
Zillow, either consciously or unconsciously, is creating a wealth of problems that we're going to be seeing, I think, in the next coming years.
Do you think they're creating like a new bubble?
I do. I mean, look at the volume. Yeah, but I mean, look at the volume of properties that they purchased. And I mean, they're from, I think you mentioned that they were from around particular areas of the country, but it's still just going to trickle down, and it's going to just enhance what's already been going on in the market. It's not just Zillow who's sort of creating this problem. I mean, they're kind of contributing to it. But the seller's market, in my opinion, in general, is contributing to this problem, because people are essentially being forced to pay extra or more than what the actual property is worth. Whether, if the mortgage company is just appraising the property for the value, and then you have sellers coming out of pocket on top of what they're lending, or what they're being lent from the lending companies. So
yeah,
I was just going to ask, so what's happening now to all those properties that they were holding? Because they had a huge inventory of those properties.
Like about 2,000 properties that they're looking to offload.
Yes.
So I mean, based on the information that we've been able to read from so far, they're selling it to a rental company. So it's like a double whammy. So it's like people who we're looking for properties who were struggling because the inventory is low. Now can't one, can't find property, and then two, if they do find a property, it's overpriced. Now those properties are going to be coming back on the market, but in a different form, in a rental form. So, if I throw on my tax hat here, when you're thinking about most people, when when they're making the decision of purchasing a home, a lot of times it's because you want to take advantage of the tax benefits that you get from purchasing a home, and you won't necessarily get that from a rental property. Not to mention that most rentals are not going to show up on your credit report. So even if you wanted to use a home purchase as a way to continue to build your credit so that it can enhance other areas of your life, you're not going to be able to do that either. So yeah, no bueno, Zillow, no bueno.
That whole thing it's very confusing, I think, for the public, for the people they're not in a business like us, to kind of go like, wait, I did rely on Zillow's evaluation for my house. So what is happening now if the big guy didn't do a good job on their evaluation?
That's why even though you go on Zillow and you look at your property value by Zillow, what they're assessing it, you still have to reach out to your local realtor.
Absolutely.
To assess your property to get the actual value of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, everyone, you have to go to your local realtor. Like, go to the people that are there that have the right and correct information directly from your local market.
Yeah, they have the knowledge, they have the experience, and those are the ones that you should be getting the information from. I know we're living in the age where everything on the internet, we think it's real. Let's be honest. Everybody thinks that whatever they read on, it's on the internet, it has to be real, right? It has to be real. But just seek information from local experts to walk you through and guide you through any type of process in regards to purchasing a house. I mean, I also want to know, like, how does this play out with investors? Because we're buying houses, and we saw that when we were putting in offers on houses, investors were overpaying for it. So Zillow even impacted it that way. I want to say they did.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. And we've seen, like, in my market, we've seen investors that did overpay, that lost money, or they weren't able to finish the project, and so they kind of their house has to go under foreclosure,
right?
And they were ready to sell those property to us. So, and then we didn't want to step into their shoes and inherit the problem. Like, you're like, hey, like, there is no way I'm paying you for that money because you paid it too high to start with. And so for us, we actually make the money when we purchase the property.
Exactly. And that's how that's how we were taught, and that's how it should be, I do remember, there was a property that I looked at. Gene and I went to go look at this property, and we did get caught up in that whole, let's offer a little bit more because we wanted the house. I saw the potential in the house. And so, we offered 5,000 over. Somebody paid, 15 over our 5,000. And I said to myself, okay, how on earth are you going to make money on this? Because just because the market is hot and doesn't mean you have to put X amount of dollars into this house. I mean, you have to do the math. Don't rely on, it's going to go into a bidding war. The market's really hot. People want houses. The numbers are the numbers. You can't base your sell price on what you think, And
also the way we put the house on the market, like, we don't inflate, right? You put it at market price. Like, you're not putting it like 50K because I have to recover a 50K.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen those houses coming up super high and wondering, like, why on earth are you putting your house so high? I know it's a seller's market, but we all know here that you are above the seller's market now. And then little by little, you'll see that investor cutting down the price. Yes. And I've seen it cutting it even as much as 100K less.
Yes, wow. I've seen that as well here. Yeah.
It sounds like you end up losing more in the end doing it that way, because yes, you initially overpriced because for whatever, either you wanted the property badly or you thought that the market was going to continue to improve based on the research that you've done, whether you were using Zillow or some of these other platforms. So you already bought wrong. Then, you tried to cut corners, making the renovation, then make it up at the end. You like, to your point, Miki, you're going to have to continue to discount it because it stays on the market. So now you're increasing your holding costs during the time that you try to recoup whatever you overpaid from the beginning of this process. It's like a continuous downward spiral, it seems. When if you just did it right from the beginning, it might have gone a bit smoother.
Right. I mean,
we might not have lost as much.
I always hear these words ringing in my head whenever we go into a property or a situation where, oh, I want this house so bad. I want this house so bad. I could see the potential. It'll be so beautiful when we're done with it. Don't be house horny. You've heard that? Don't be house horny. Okay. Don't be house horny.
I love it.
There'll be another house and you buy it when the price is with the right price.
I don't think I've heard it that way before, but that is classic.
I love it.
I think we need that on a t-shirt.
Yes,
that's awesome.
I can't take full credit for that. That was not mine. I was, I heard it from somebody else.
We just continue to spread the word.
But it's so true. Like, you have to buy it at the right price, or don't buy it, because you don't want to handle and go through the long list of problems that's going to come with it, because there will be. It's not going to work.
Right, unless you're buying it and you're going to be living in it, and you want to put that money in there. That's going to be you're going to be in that house for 5 to 7 years, and and 5 to 7 years you should get a return on your investment. But if you're an investor, most investors know that you have to buy at a certain price in order to recoup your funds at the end when you sell it. And a computer doesn't know that.
No, right. Computer doesn't know that.
But I question the person who came up with the idea. But
well, I think to your point, Kim, also most savvy investors, although you know your market and although you know what's going on, you still consult with a realtor. You still go to your team to be like, hey, I'm looking at this property, or what are values looking like in this area. So I feel for some of maybe the newer investors who were using Zillow for your property valuations, for your comps, your comparative properties. Because if you're seeing that other properties are selling in the area for, however much, 20, 30,000 above asking, then you're going to think your after repair value or your ARV is going to be at a certain point. So then that also skews the rest of your numbers for the deal.
Yeah, just looking at a house and saying, oh, that house looks like my house. You don't know what that house looks like on the inside. You don't know how many bedrooms that house has on the inside. You don't know what was done to that house. So, and that's pretty much how I think, a lot of people get their valuations. It's like, oh, that looks just like mine.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Every house is different. Every house.
Really, every house is different. Even if it's a twin of your house, like, you don't know what's been done inside. Like, did they update everything?
Yeah,
or
do they maintain? Mm-hmm.
Do they have HVAC now while you're still having your AC?
Your window units. Yeah.
Yep.
There's all those little differences. Is it carpet or is it
hardwood floors?
Did they did addition at the back? Because this counts big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We know get permits for that
coming from the additions queen over here.
It counts.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
But yeah, so it was a big. So was it a surprise for you to hear that Zillow flopped?
Well, for me, I guess I was a little bit late on the news. I heard that they were doing it, and then I heard they're not anymore. So I was like, whoa, that was fast.
It feels like it was very fast. Like, again, I feel like they just announced a few months back, like, oh yeah, we're making this decision. And then now, before the year is out, they're making the decision. Oh yeah, no, it didn't work. We're going back. We're going to try to go back to our previous model. But at this point, I don't even know where they go from here, because in my opinion, like, your credibility is kind of in the crapper, I mean, for lack of better words, because you were known as a platform for people to go to get information relating to property valuations. And you yourself have admitted that you're getting out of a particular area of the industry because your property valuations were wrong. So I don't know how you rebrand yourself at this point.
They'll switch the
Or
name.
if you do.
Zilla.
Yeah, they'll just come out with a new name.
The little apostrophe thing above the I. Zillow. Like, make a little accent out of it. I don't know.
Great stuff.
But anyway,
like Tarjay, you know how they do.
So when this came out, I was like, yes, of course they could have not continued that way, because that's not the reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, when you play that game, you have to play with the same rules that we play with. So
exactly.
For me, it was just like a matter of time. I was like, it's either they're going to come with a system where they're actually working with the realtors in place in our local markets. Like,
right.
They're going to start having like realtors saying, I'm with Zillow, I'm a Zillow realtor or something.
That would have made sense.
Right.
That would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because I think in my mind, it triggers me back to niches, right? Like,
yes.
Zillow was known for a particular thing, and without the proper preparation, they just tried to jump into another area of real estate. And they learned, or at least they're learning the hard way, that it's not that easy to just say, oh, okay, well, we do this, so let me just go into that, without having to, you're doing your research or your due diligence. And so that's why it's so important that if you are working with someone, making sure that they know what they're doing inside and out, upwards and downwards, and all of the rest. Because working with people who are just picking up things because it's the latest trend will get you in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my hopes is that at least some of the properties that they're letting go, and that this large firm, I think this firm is in New York, is buying up. Some of the houses are able to get back on the market, for some of these homestead buyers, these first-time home buyers, to buy them, because the pandemic did, it gave people a lot of pause. Like, wait a minute, I don't want to be living in an apartment. I want to have some space. And I think, that played into people wanting to purchase their first home. And then Zillow was like, I think I could capitalize on this too.
Exactly.
Right? So hopefully some of those houses will get back out there, and, some of these first time home buyers can get them and be able to live the American dream.
Yes.
I think they might have been, and maybe this is one of the last points, they might have been using the AI data in an improper, I don't want to say improper, but in not the way that it was intended to.
Yes.
Maybe they're using the AI data, seeing like, oh, people have been searching a lot for single family homes in Indiana, just as an example. And then they start paying attention to all of the search engines to see all of the activity relating to certain properties, and maybe that triggered the move. But yeah, that's not the way we do business.
I'm not going to speculate on how they were using it. I'm sure we'll find out eventually what went wrong, if the information isn't already out there, but we'll find out eventually.
But I think the big lesson, at least for us as investors, is like the game is in your local market. And then if you are going into different markets, like we are, we're in multiple markets, then you make connection in those markets as well, so that you make sure that your numbers are good to go.
Exactly. Mic drop on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So this, I truly enjoy talking about this clearly this week.
This was good.
Yeah.
And like you said, it remains to be seen what the after effects to the real estate market will be as more of this unfolds.
Yeah, and if the other 3 companies are going to follow suit or change up their strategies.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Adapt. Yeah.
We will see. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. And if you want to catch some of our previous episodes, we are on YouTube. You can check out the Real Estate View on YouTube. And also we have a Facebook page. You can go to Facebook and check us out there as well. And we are live every Wednesday, every Thursday. Listen, I just came back from 8 days of training. My brain is like
intensity.
every Thursday at 4:00 Eastern.
Yes.
And happy Veterans Day.
Yes, thank you, veterans.
Thank you for your service.
Mm.
And until next week, know your why.
Know your heart.
And know your purpose. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.